All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we have the one, the only, the ever so talented Louisiana, formerly known as Louisiana Cash, right here on the line. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I first and foremost have to say thank you so much for just giving us a little bit of your time this evening and coming on the Canadian airwaves.
Ah, man, no problem. Thank you for having me.
So I got to take you back to the beginning there, Louisiana. I was wondering what made you and inspired you to get into the music industry.
Well, it was just music. I always loved rap music. I always had the beat, you know what I mean? I always had I always found, like, lyrics and write down lyrics was, like, something that was interesting to me. So I used to do it when I was young. So, like, started, like, 9 years old when my first rapping. Kind of fell in love with it ever since. Then it started turning into something I was kind of perfect, you know what I'm saying? So it turned into more than just a hobby. So, like, a long time ago, I just knew with music in me, man, real tight.
And also, I read as well that earlier in your career as well, that you actually caught the attention of a local record label, and you actually opened up for individuals like I think it was like TI, Lil Wayne, and Twista. Man, I have to say, how did it feel being so early in your career, being able to open up for such big artists like that?
At that moment, I kind of was just going in, and I didn't realize who it was and who the people I was opening up for, but it was one of those things, like, I always felt like keep going and keep climbing, you know what I mean? So it was an honor just to even be around those type of artists, like, even break the same stage, you know what I mean? So, and it was motivational too. That's part of the reason I'm still going right now, like, just trying to get to that level to some of those guys right there. So it was like real dope for sure.
And especially being so early in your career as well, like not a lot of individuals really have the opportunity, like so young, to be able just open up and be able to work with like legendary individuals like that, man. So, and I gotta say as well, you're a very talented individual, so that most definitely does not surprise me.
I appreciate it, man. And shout out to Grambling, Louisiana. Actually, that's where I'm from. And shout out to Grambling State University too, because a lot of those artists was coming through. You know what I mean? To actually the university, so I was able, like, locally, I had a little name going. You know what I'm saying? So I was able to test the stages then. So they gave me an opportunity, like, way back then when I was, like, still in high school. So salute to the G for sure.
And also, I noticed as well back in 2010, you actually were featured on Magno's Green's Point of View record on the track "Bleed the Block." I have to ask, man, how did yourself and Magno get connected, and what was it like actually just being featured on that phenomenal record?
Man, it was dope too. That was like one of the like dopest things back then. Because actually I was a fan of Magno. Like, before I even had the opportunity, like, you know, Mike Jones, I was on that hard, like, growing up in Louisiana. So actually to get on the record, it was a pleasure. It was actually big for me, like one of those like milestone type of things. And we linked up actually with the people that I was working with at the time, had a connection with them. So we linked it up, and I had to get on the record, and I did my thing. You know what I mean? And he ended up actually keeping the record and using it. So that was big for him, because he didn't even have to, like, put me on the, you know what I mean, the project, because I was still, like, local at the moment. But Joe Love, and that record is dope, actually.
And I gotta say, I still bump that record today. But one thing I do want to ask, like, because I know around this time, that's when they started doing the whole like internet really started popping back in like 2010 around that area. Were you actually in the studio with Magno, or was it just one of those like virtual features where you sent your work over to him and then he did the rest with it?
Yeah, it was email. Actually, we done it through email, and I laid my track, I laid the track first, and then sent it back. And I want to say I even laid my verse first, and then he came back and he dropped his. But I actually ended up beating him at a record called Walk with a Duck, and he came to the video shoot. So that's when I finally first bumped into him. He still had his the dawn chain on, you know what I'm saying? He was still like Magno. He was Magno in the flesh. So I ended up using, but the record was done like email. It was the email thing.
And also as well, you actually have your own imprint titled Boot Camp. I have to ask you, tell us a bit more about Boot Camp, man, and of course, like, who do you currently have signed under you right now?
Right now, actually, I'm just rapping by myself. I'm actually looking for artists. I had a few artists, but how things happen. So we actually in the process of right now, like revamping everything. And 2021, we finna just get ready to like take it to a whole nother level. So I'll be reaching out and actually looking for talent and just looking for like dope artists that I can take up under my wing and kind of show them things, and they can show me things. But we actually just vibe off each other, make some dope music, and try to make history. But it started off just, you know what I mean, Louisiana, we call it the boot, you know what I mean? So it's just my team and the people that I was rocking with, they still rock with, you know what I mean? We call ourselves the camp. So the boot camp, and we rocking like that, and we about to actually build our soldiers back up and make that thing strong. So we're looking out for that for sure.
And I gotta ask as well, because I remember you said like next year you're gonna be looking for artists. Like, how does individuals actually go about like getting a hold of you to maybe try and submit your music for a potential record deal? Like, how would one actually go about doing that?
Just actually being on the radar. You know what I mean? Like at the moment, I'm still releasing music and actually putting out music. So just being in the mix, just doing the social media grind, doing the grind in the streets, actually hitting the club, and something that's moving. You know what I mean? We can work with that, or just being a dope talent, but just making sure the music is out there, just making sure your face and your grind is out there to where other people like me can see you. Then, you know, we'll tell you to pull up, and we'll see what we can do. We're going to start off as vibing, and we're going to see what we can do, and we're going to go from there.
And also as well, I noticed as well that actually back in the day, you actually did a 30-city tour from February 2010 to June 2010. I have to ask, man, what was it like actually doing a 30-city tour in such a short time frame?
Man, it was actually big, like, and I actually laid a lot of foundation and blueprint to the markets that I still rock with today. You know, a lot of those markets, like in the Midwest or like in the Far East, like the Charlotte and the Illinois and spots like that. So I still rock with them today, especially like in the Midwest. Talking about like Nebraska, Omaha, talking about Ohio, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana. I'm still rocking with those states like right now. So the biggest thing was laying a foundation that just stuck with me for this long, and I got a different type of fan base. Like in those markets, it's so spread out, but people, you know, really rock with it. So I salute to all the people that I even touched out there, and we're gonna double back around and touch them again for sure.
And also as well, in 2018, you actually released the album Goat Season. I have to ask you, what's the inspiration behind that phenomenal record? And of course, where can our listeners buy or stream themselves a copy of that record today?
The inspiration behind Goat Season was it was just a project to where actually at that time I was in Charlotte. I was living in Charlotte on the beach, so I was just getting back into the flow and the vibe of actually going out and feeling the energy of the music. So during that time, I bumped into a lot of people like the Baby. Like I was able to sit in on some of his sessions. You know what I mean? And seeing how he recorded. And that made a difference in the process. So I recorded a lot of the music out there on the East Coast. And a lot of those records were kind of at the moment type records. And then it was just a stepping stone for me to be able to drop the project that I just recently dropped. But I had to go back in and tighten the music up. You know what I mean? I had to go find the music again. So that was kind of like my finding the music wave, I felt like. You know what I mean?
And also, the one thing I really wanted to ask you, man, because like I said, as I brought up the Magno, like I've been a fan of your craft since then. One thing I was really curious upon, like, what made you actually decide to change your name from Louisiana Cash to just Louisiana?
It was a reinvention, man. You know what I mean? I actually went by Cash for the longest. And then I had a situation. I added the Louisiana to it, and I mean Cash is my nickname, but we added the Louisiana to it. And I just wanted to like reinvent, you know what I mean, and not actually change the music, but it was just trying to reinvent. And I also wanted a way to let the people know, like where I'm from, you know what I mean, like stat where I'm from, but not having it be too big in your face like Louisiana. So we flipped the spelling on it. You know, we kept it with 7 letters. You know what I mean? Like that's my favorite number. So just just going with the Louisiana. You can say Louisiana, you can say Louisiana, but say Louisiana. You know, so it's the same dude, the same guy, just a different mentality and just a little bit of a reinvention type thing.
And also, as well, one thing I do want to ask you is that directly after this interview, I'm going to be playing one of your songs off your brand new record by the name of 318. I was wondering if you tell our listeners a bit more about that track. That way, when they hear it, they can wrap their head around the meaning just a little bit more.
Okay, and the 318 is that's my area code. You know what I mean? Represent Louisiana. That's the north part of Louisiana. You know what I mean? So it's north of New Orleans and Baton Rouge, but it's out of Louisiana. That's my area code. And I got with my partners from the crib, D. Jackson and Benji Banks. They're actually from my same section. You know what I mean? So we got in Dallas, locked in the same studio, and we just got loaded, got right, and we just went in. You know what I mean? And represented for where we from. And we actually looking at shooting that video at the top of the year, so we gonna go back one time and represent for the crib for sure. So yeah, that's a banger right there, man. That's actually the intro. You know, it's the intro to the project.
And I gotta say as well, man, speaking of that project, Louisiana Cash versus Louisiana, where can our listeners actually snag themselves a copy? And of course, do you have any hard copies available for our listeners that really still do love that compact disc format?
Man, I didn't do no hard copies, but since you asked, you know what I mean, I got to get on that. I got to get, you know what I mean, me and the team, we going to get on that and see if I get some hard copies. But you can actually go grab it on all streaming platforms, iTunes, Tidal, Spotify, anywhere you get your music from, you can go get that Louisiana Cash versus Louisiana and that Go Season, you know. So go check them projects out because there's some dope music on both of them, for sure.
And you also recently dropped the video for your song, What's Your Name, featuring DeMar Jackson. I have to ask you, what's the story behind that amazing video? And of course, how did yourself and DeMar actually get connected?
Well, I've been knowing DeMar for probably since about 2004, a long time. We both been grinding, and just bumping into each other in the same spot. Actually, his DJ was my long-time DJ and close friend, DJ Star. So we had a mutual friend, and it was like keeping the music on our relationship. So we actually got together in Dallas too, linked up, went over some beats, came up with that one, the What's Your Name beat. Shout out to DJ on the beat, he produced it. And we just locked in, and we went back and forth and got the record right, and it was time to go with it. And actually, it's still moving. It's still going up right now. And shot the video. We just wanted to show some appreciation to the females. You know what I mean? Not by the guys getting in the video and doing too much. We just wanted to show some love to the ladies. So it was the ladies edition, and it's dope. Everything came out dope, man. And if y'all haven't heard that song, go stream that, go download that. What's Your Name? Featuring DeMar Jackson. It's hard, super hard.
And I have to ask you, Louisiana, what is next for you? Is there anything I missed during this interview? Anything else you still want to promote? We still have you here live in Canada?
Yeah, man. Shout out to Canada. I'm actually about to drop the Energy video. The Energy is on the project, too, on the Louisiana Cash versus Louisiana project. And this video hard, you know what I mean? So we're about to drop that. I'm also about to do an all freestyle mixtape called A Warning. It's Volume 4. So go search. Everybody out there, go search Louisiana Cash, The Warning, Volume 1, 2, and 3 on your mixtape streaming sites. And they'll come up and everybody gets to see on what Volume 4 going to be. It's kind of like I take 32,000 beats and just go in and go crazy on them. So we got The Warning Volume 4 coming up in the next couple weeks. And then we're going to start the year off with a brand new single. So I'm excited, man. It's about to be big.
Hey, it definitely sounds like 2021 is the year of Louisiana.
For sure, man. And also, we got the virtual, we actually doing a live show as far as the Louisiana Cash versus the Louisiana project. We're just going to do a live show. So we're actually getting that set up right now, too. And we'll be releasing a date on that real soon. But yeah, man, big things to come. it's on the way, man. 2021, I'm excited about it because you know how 2020, man, it's been crazy, man.
Oh, it most definitely has. Like I've been seeing memes on Facebook, man, about individuals saying that what if 2020 was just a trailer for 2021? And when people say that, I'm like, yo, shut up. Like, you know what I mean? We don't need another 2020.
Don't even speak that. Yeah, don't even speak that. We ain't even gonna speak that. We gonna say 2021 gonna be the best year ever because it's about to be the worst year for sure. You know, so we need to shake this one. But it's gonna be dope, man. 2021, big things on the way for sure.
But Louisiana, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, and also, man, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on all your newest projects, if they're not already doing so.
Oh, man, I want to give a shout-out to everybody who's listening, man. I want to give a shout-out to my team, everybody who works, you know what I mean, all day, every day, just to try to make sure everything we doing is in order. Salute to the squad, salute to Louisiana, salute to Texas, salute to the whole down south, and salute to everybody in Canada, and everybody who rocking with me, man. You can actually go stream and download all the music off all the music platforms. You can check it out. And like I said, go get that Louisiana Cats versus Louisiana. It's hard. It's hard, you know what I mean? So, and if you don't got it, go check it out. And no music on the way. Sure.
Most definitely. I got to give a quick shout out to Onyx as well for actually getting us connected and making this interview possible. Shout out to her, but most definitely, Louisiana, shout out to you. Thank you for the years of amazing music, and I'm looking forward to 2021, man. You sound like you got a gang of projects in store, and I'm looking forward to just purchasing and listening to those as well, man. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Man, appreciate you for having me, man. Y'all go check that music out for sure.
Most definitely. Have yourself a wonderful night, Louisiana.
You do the same, man.